Her lady once on this island. As you stated on Broadway radio, the only ones that could be nominated anyway.
Yes, they're the only three nominees, the only three musicals, only three musical revivals of the season. To be honest with you here, if it was me, if I was a Tony committee of one, Once on This Island would be the only one that even had a shot at this. However, I think My Fair Lady is going to walk away with it. I saw this early in previews and did not like it. A lot of that had to do with the performance of the leading lady playing Eliza Doolittle, Lauren Ambrose, who I thought was terribly miscast. However, apparently since then she's improved and people really liked her. She got fairly good reviews. The set of this show is fantastic. The ensemble is fantastic. It just, for a show that I hold very near and dear to my heart, didn't do much for me. So I would pick Once on This Island, but I think My Fair Lady will probably win.
It feels like My Fair Lady would win just because of the name, almost. It feels like, for me, because of this category.
A lot of people thought going in that it would be a competition between My Fair Lady and Carousel. Carousel missed the boat in almost every conceivable aspect with director Jack O'Brien, which is really disappointing because I think if they would have done it properly in today's day and age, a show that deals with a husband who is, he doesn't admit it, but he's abusive and very selfish, I think that they would have done it properly and approached it with a more modern sensibility and perspective, it could have been a really important show and done really interestingly. Alas, they did not do that. It was just kind of a mess. And My Fair Lady is probably going to win by default just on the prestige of the name itself.
That makes sense. And of course, best musical, we have The Band's Visit.
Waiting, what's new here? You're waiting, I'm waiting, 'cause that's what we do here. Same as we do every day for something I don't know to happen, you know, just something different to happen. Just waiting for something to change, just a change.
Sometimes it feels like we're moving in a circle, around and around with the same scenery going by, but no one's complaining. We're experts at waiting.
Frozen.
Let it go, can't hold it back anymore. Let it go, turn away and slam the door. I don't care what they're going to say, let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway.
Mean Girls.
Sometimes what's meant to break you makes you brave. So I will not act all innocent, I won't fake apologize. Let's just fight and then make up, not tell these lies. Let's call our damage even, clean the slate till it's like new. It's a new life for me, or I'd rather be me. I'd rather be me than be with you.
And Spongebob Squarepants.
Hero is my middle name. Fixing trouble is my game. Just give it the old know-how. There's no better time than now. Don't give up and don't give in.
Yeah, if you're thinking sink or swim.
Oh yeah. Courage is your claim to fame. When hero is your middle name. And hero is our middle name. Well, that's nice, boys, but mine's Jennifer.
Yeah, this one, just give it to Band's Visit. It's this one was done long ago. People were hoping that some stuff could compete with it, but that never ended up coming to fruition. SpongeBob, a great show, really interesting, really exceeded expectations for pretty much everybody, but not going to win. Mean Girls, fun. It was the show that I enjoyed the most this season in terms of musicals, but not best musical winner potential for me. I think it would be second, maybe, if you had to break it down. I could be wrong. Frozen is there just to fill out the category. It was I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought the first act was perfect, but it kind of misses the boat a lot in terms of translating a beloved film, which is an hour and a half, to a 2 hour and 20-minute stage musical. Misses a lot of opportunities that I think would have made it a more successful venture on stage. And The Band's Visit is just one of these shows that everybody seems to love, that I like, and kind of get, but didn't fall as in love with as everybody else did. But I would be shocked if The Band's Visit didn't win.
Yeah, because you guys have been talking about The Band's Visit, everyone has been. I almost think something like a SpongeBob could probably be the stealer if they do it, but I doubt it. Like, remember last year we were talking about Come From Away and Dear Evan Hansen as could something steal the Tony Award away from Dear Evan Hansen, and that would be what that would be. Yeah,
it's very similar to what we had a couple seasons ago. 3 seasons ago now, with Fun Home and An American in Paris. American in Paris was this well-known property that was big, and it was showy. It had a bunch of projections. It had a bunch of dancing, up against Fun Home, which was this very intimate, kind of different, unique, small piece that was probably more artistically satisfying, but didn't compare with the big productions of An American in Paris. I think that probably translates pretty well to how we're seeing The Band's Visit up against either Mean Girls or SpongeBob. But again, over the last few years, especially, if you go back to like things like Once and A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, then Fun Home, Hamilton, Dear Evan Hansen, although Hamilton is a massive production in and of itself.
A juggernaut of its own.
But yeah, the voting has really kind of been more towards the artistic merit of shows in the last few years. And I think that might have been a bit of a course correction, because for a while we were giving the best musical to the most fun and most flashy and over-the-top productions. So it seems like there has been a correction kind of in the voting to give this award, which is the biggest award of the night, the biggest award in the theatrical community, to the most artistically satisfying piece. And we get a lot of arguments here about, well, there's 841 Tony voters, and a lot of them, not all of them, not even half of them, but a large number of those Tony voters are people who are what are called road presenters, are producers who run theaters around the country that bring in national tours. So the thought is that they're going to want to vote for the show that they think tours best. And maybe I'm a contrarian, but that makes no sense to me. To me, Mean Girls, Frozen, and SpongeBob do not need help outside of New York.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, they're going to be fine on name alone, especially because, even Mean Girls to a certain extent, but all 3 of those are very family-oriented shows that you could take kids to and you'd have no problem with. The Band's Visit, if you slap Best Musical Tony winner on there, that enhances the ability of that show to tour well and to bring in people outside of the normal subscribers, because the touring business is very much based off the subscribers. The margins are going to be in what shows are able to do to bring in people beyond the people who are already subscribing and seeing every show because they paid for it. The Band's Visit probably wouldn't attract many people, even though it's based on a movie. It's a small independent Israeli film. No one's going to know that film. But if you see the little stamp on it that says Best Musical, more people might be interested in coming. So to me, it makes business sense and artistic sense to award things like Fun Home, like Dear Evan Hansen, like The Band's Visit, because it just helps in all areas of the business.
What's interesting about you said about the touring, I remember like when Newsies came to town. I saw Newsies here in Milwaukee, and it just says Tony Award winner because it won a Tony Award. You could just put that on the stamp. SpongeBob can win for Easton Slater, and you could just say it won a Tony Award. Doesn't have to say what award it won, and it's still going to get people saying, "Oh yeah, it won a Tony Award. That's great." That's
correct.
In my opinion, that's more important in the touring side.
Yeah, you can look. It's just like pool quotes. Like Summer, the Donna Summer musical did get 2 nominations, both for performers, but it got horrendous reviews. It got really, really terrible reviews. And yet up on the marquees over at the theater, they have pull quotes which were pulled out that highlighted the various nice things that were said in the reviews, even if those reviews in and of themselves were totally horrible. So it's, it's pick and choose. It's all about marketing, but still the best musical stamp carries much more weight than anything else than a choreography win that Newsies had.
True.
So you're absolutely right that they're going to do whatever they can to market these shows, but I still think the value of a best musical goes a long way in terms of validating the importance of a show for people outside of New York.
I forgot to put this in my notes, and I just have it up on my screen here. The 2 special Tony Award winners for John Leguizamo and Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. I'm not quite sure how I forgot to put Bruce Springsteen on here because I'm from Jersey. I don't know why I forgot that. But let's talk about this, because this is something different, because they wanted Bruce Springsteen at this show. They wanted to be here.
Well, this is not necessarily something that's out of the ordinary. They give special Tonys fairly regularly. They used to have a Tony category called Best. Oh, I'm going to get the name of it wrong, but Best Theatrical Event, which kind of took into account things that weren't plays or musicals. They got rid of it a few years ago. Like Will Ferrell's "You're Welcome, America" was nominated one year. It didn't win, but so there's just no way to award something like what Bruce Springsteen is doing on Broadway. He's doing Springsteen on Broadway. He's been doing it now since last fall.
Yeah,
it was only supposed to be since October, because he was supposed to end actually before Thanksgiving, and he's just enjoyed it so much. It was so well received that he's kept extending and extending. He's going now into, I think, early July. And it's a barn burner. He only does 4 or 5 shows a week, makes over $2 million a week, which is huge in Broadway numbers. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason not to recognize him, especially because the show got fantastic reviews from the theatrical critics. So I'm not surprised by this at all. John Leguizamo is nominated for Latin History for Morons as the playwright behind that show. It's the only nomination it got. But John Leguizamo, as much as we know him from film and even TV, he's a guy who's done 4 or 5 one-man shows that have been on Broadway. He's been an actor in other shows on Broadway. He's somebody who has done a lot of good work, and I think the fact that he is a Latino male comedian bringing something very different to Broadway, especially with this show, it does make sense. So I have no problem with either of these, but I guarantee you are 1 bazillion% right that they want some sort of performance from Bruce Springsteen on the Tonys, and that probably goes a long way with why they ended up giving him this award. And to be honest with you, apparently the word is that he wanted the award. Like, he wanted to be eligible for a Tony in one way or other, whether it was a special Tony or one of the competitive ones. It just didn't work with the rules to make him eligible for a competitive one. But this seems to be the best of both worlds. They know ahead of time that he's going to win, and he knows ahead of time he's going to win, and maybe that gives him more impetus to actually show up and sing a song.
And Bruce Springsteen will equal ratings for people that are on the outside, so that's a big deal for CBS at the end of the day. And
there's not a lot of people that would. Yeah, there's not a lot of people who I think can draw eyeballs to the Tony Awards that wouldn't already watch the Tony Awards.
Right.
But Springsteen is probably one of them. I don't think Sarah Bareilles or Josh Groban. I don't think Neil Patrick Harris or Hugh Jackman when they hosted, and James Corden. A great,
it was the Hamilton year, though. It was the Hamilton year. It was the Hamilton year. So at the end of the day,
yeah, people are going to watch anyway. But Bruce Springsteen is probably somebody who people might tune in. They might not tune in for the whole show, but they might wait until they see him. So it might be smart to put him towards the middle or the end even.
Exactly. Like when the lists of the performances come out, they'll see, well, Bruce Springsteen's comes on at this time, so I'll jump in around 9 o'clock hour and watch and see what happens.
Yeah, and they don't put them in order. They won't tell you what order is in until the day of the show, because they let people, including my boss, Rob Diamond, will be at the dress rehearsal on Sunday morning. So that's when we'll start to know what the order is. But they don't want to make that too well known because they don't want people to do what you just said.
True. That's a very good point. Well, that's it. That is the Tony Awards, and this is going to be a fun. I look forward to it every year. I just telling a friend of mine who doesn't watch award shows. This is the only award show that I literally put on my calendar that I have to watch. I have to watch the show every year. It's just mandatory for me.
Yeah, I'm working it, so yeah, I don't have a choice with this one either.
Yeah, it's something I look forward to. So that's it for the show. I want to get a plug out because I know this is a very Broadway episode of the show here. I host the other podcast called No Days But Today, a Rent retrospective. We just started it. And the episode that's airing the day after this is going to be an interview I did with Anthony Rapp. So that's going up. right after the show. So that's a big deal. So, yeah. So I wanted to plug that to everybody to know that. And also, for regular listeners of the show, next Friday's show, we're back to normal, and we're going to be previewing WWE Money in the Bank and NXT TakeOver Chicago. So we're back to normal next week, just so everybody knows. That all being said, thank you, Matt. Get your plugs in. Go.